Hello YouTube, Nathan Dewey here, doing my final thoughts on my MacCook modified Alpha Beast. I got this in on Thursday. It's now Tuesday. I've been playing with this for a good 5 days. I think it's adequately worn in. First, the action. This is the current action. It's been adequately worn in. I did not play with the pivots. I used a lot of gun oil, a lot of canned air, a lot of wiping out black stuff, but I did not loosen the pivots because MacCook explicitly told me not to. Just use a red Loctite. If you try to, again, it's a T6 screw, so they're very prone to stripping. So for the sake of not giving yourself a big headache, if you get one from MacCook, do not try to loosen it by hand. Just wear it in naturally. Here's the action right now. The play. It's about where you'd want it. It's still very tight, but it's just loose enough so it's free-flowing. The blade is nicely centered. See if I can get that in frame. Nothing rubs. That's also one of the reasons I had this spine crown, so there would be less material for the safe handle to scrape against. So right now there's no scraping, no rubbing. It's well centered. Just gonna do some flipping as I do this review. I typically do tabletops, but first drop. Gonna count them in this review. Yeah, so a lot of people want to know how this flips, so instead of me talking about it like I typically do, I'm going to prove that yes, I can still flip. In my unboxing, I mentioned that it felt lighter. Originally, this was 5.1. Right now, it's 5.0 ounces, so that's because of the way it's been rechamfered. That took off approximately 0.01 of an ounce. I do like it better. It does have a softer feel to it. It's more compatible to my style. I will not go so far as to say that losing 0.01 of an ounce is enough to make this the Alpha Beast overall a more versatile universal flipper, but I do think it is a contributing factor if they were to ever tweak the design further. Let's see. Oh, right. Like, for example, again, about the pivots. Originally, when I started getting into balisongs, I did not think a tight action balisong really meant anything, but now as my style has developed, I do appreciate tighter action for the sake of control. If you're doing, if you're past, like say an intermediate or advanced, you don't want a sloppy knife. You do want something that's controllable, that's more predictable, that's you know where it's going to go. It's not going to go all over the place. And in fact, because of the proper fitting washers and the new bushings they put in there, I have not dropped this nearly as much as I used to. So that's another thing to consider. One of the complaints of the mid-tech Alpha Beast, which were also done by MacCook, were that they were too tight out of the box, which, yeah, you know, they were too tight to flip, but at the same time, literally every balisong will need to be worn in. So, you know, you really do have to take the pros and cons. Do you want something that is loose enough out of the box that will continue to get looser? Or do you want something that's a little too tight that will, with proper wear-in and lubrication, will loosen as it should be loosened. So that's why I am advocating that they get, uh, you know, in terms of the manufacturer of the Alpha Beasts, I would say, yeah, I would still advocate them getting proper fitting washers that not only are the right thickness, but also the proper diameter, as they are right here, as evidenced in Matt Cook's work. Okay, do a little bit more flipping, and then I'll get into critiques. My window's open to get the fresh air in. Come on. I've been trying to do this reverse, what's it called, the reverse helicopter move. I know I can do it. Alright, that's good enough. Okay, critiques. They are very minimal, but for the sake of fairness, they are worth bringing up. First of all, the way that the handle work in itself. I like the handle work, but I do want to bring up that if you send in your Alpha Beast and you want to keep the original square off junction near the pivots, make sure you specify that, because when I was on the phone with Matt, he asked me if I wanted anything special done on the handles. I told him to keep the dimensions, and he did. It's the same thickness and same length, but it's been chamfered off all the way around. It's comfortable. I like it. However, the tang cups are now exposed. So if you're very peculiar about not filling the tang cups, that is something worth bringing up. It doesn't hinder flipping. It's not sharp. It's just there. So, very minute thing. It's worth mentioning. If you want to keep the blocky junction, tell him to keep the blocky junction. Oh, the sheath. I'm guessing because it fits, he just threw this in as a complimentary thing. This is as far as I can tell, a handmade leather done sheath by Matt Cook. It's a cocoon style sheath, friction. Alright, it's meant to fit on the belt. And you'll notice that the knife points downward. Now, for most people, this might not be an issue, but I find, well, first of all, I'm not really a sheath guy to begin with, but I am very active. I do run a lot, and if I were to carry this on my person, I could very easily see this snagging against something or being shaken out. You know, if I were to move too quickly, I would not trust this to hold my knife. I would rather just keep this in pocket, like so. One thing, and it holds well, but if you shake just hard enough, it's just, doesn't really mean anything, but personally I wouldn't trust it. I would like the sheath a little bit more if instead of downward, it was faced upward just slightly. So instead of a outward motion down, it would be an upward. So basically the same motion, but you'd have gravity on your side, and it would be less prone to shaking out. My last critique, and it is probably the least noticeable, the least mentionable one, but it is worth bringing up, is the edge. I want to make something very clear. When he was working on this knife, he did leave the edge alone initially. He called me up. He asked if I wanted it sharpened. He sharpened it on request, and he did. It was razor sharp. However, the edge itself didn't look that great. You could see where it had been sharpened previously. It a little uneven, not. It wasn't the same thick angle throughout, and it didn't hinder like actual function, but it is something that is a pet peeve of mine. I do like a consistent geometric edge. And if you're going to go through the trouble of reprofiling it, then you reprofile the edge to where the old edge isn't there. So what I did for my own purposes, I reprofiled this on belt sander 150 grit. I then ran it through the cloth buffing wheel, and then I stropped it on notebook paper. So right now, it is approximately the same sharpness as when I first got it from that. So. You want to get a good edge? There you go. Yeah. Very minuscule thing, but you know, something to bring up for the sake of honesty and transparency. Overall, I am incredibly pleased with this. I would have no problems sending him other work. In fact, I'm actually thinking of getting a Mayhem done by him. You know, have it nice and pretty. Alright, he can be reached on the forums. I have his phone number, but I don't want to give it up publicly. That's really for him to decide. And, yeah. Alright, that's my final thoughts. Thanks for looking. Take care.